In the tradition of Malcolm X, peace be unto you. About 8 generations have passed since the end of government-sanctioned slavery in the United States. But ironically, our struggle continues because the causes for slavery have never really completely been absent from a single link in the chain of historical events in the United States. Thus, African American suffering in the United States remains a nuanced medium through which U.S. history flows. America would not be what it is today but for its exploitation of black free labor. So, it would be remiss for one to think that descendants of slaves could ever eliminate the lingering bad taste of slavery. Freed slaves were literally let loose out of the thousands of total institutional concentration work camps to hew out a place for themselves in the so-called land of the free. Not only free self-determined action, but of free thought. But with no land, no capital, no education in a purely capitalistic society, there could not be a speck of social hope to have a good life for most black Americans. That was a socially engineered condition to keep freed slaves in perpetual servitude. Despite the 14th Amendment and the 1965 Voting Rights Act that were supposed to ensure African Americans the right to nominally elect representatives at all levels of government to promote not just the interest of all Americans, but to safeguard the interest of descendants of freed slaves, have fallen short. Now here, it has been only 2 generations since state and local Jim Crow and social segregation and redlining have been federally outlawed. Though lacking in substance, our new collective status ushered in political opportunities for black people. Several waves of African American filled political offices beginning during the Reconstruction period at local, state, and even now the White House with Barack Obama. And riding on the tidal wave of anti-war and liberation movements, there emerged the Black Caucus in 1971. Every member of the Black Caucus, past and present, is a byproduct of the era of slavery, Jim Crow, and countless microaggressions against a group of people based on their skin color. One will rightly assume that each member has more or less a bad, lingering taste of slavery. However, once they became media stars and competitors for political status, that lingering bad taste of slavery has since ceased to remind them of our long suffering. The public was instantaneously media-fed the images of black politicians. They were quickly co-opted by the system at every level. Political parties absorbed them to shepherd black votes their way during elections. It was to showcase the black America that we had known was no more, and that we had made it to the promised life in America, that they were bourgeoisie, and that white America was good after all. But was all this an illusion? Has it been all entertainment? Has it been staged? White supremacists do nothing for anyone or any group unless that person or group are subservient to their interests. That means that the Black Caucus members are white supremacists. They're white supremacist puppets. I mean that literally, because they don't have the money to finance their elections. They depend on their political parties to dole out checks for them. But with that comes conditions. Do not these black political bourgeoisie understand the fundamental principle of identity? That if the Black Caucus supports the Democratic Party, and if the Democratic Party supports Nazis, fascists, then it follows that the Black Caucus supports the Nazis. It also means that the Black Caucus is white supremacists. Thus, they cannot ensure equal rights and opportunity for marginalized communities as they set out to do when they were founded way back in 1971. And I remember. They can only do lip service. They can do rhetoric, but they can't do the action necessary in Congress to get legislation through that will make a difference, such as reparations for African Americans who are descendants of slaves. Put another way, the Black Caucus voted unanimously for military funding that they knew was going to enrich the military-industrial complex instead of building up infrastructure in the United States. They did that because they were told to do it by the Democratic Party bosses. And they did that so that Ukraine could wage war with full knowledge that Ukraine was corrupt and is led by Nazis. Now, the same thing occurred with Afghanistan. The same thing occurred with Iraq, that had never posed a threat to the United States. And the same thing occurred with regard to Iran, who had a sovereign right to change its government back in 1979. And we can go on and on. We can talk about Vietnam. We can talk about other minor wars. But the Black Caucus has betrayed its promise to Black America. Now, here are some other examples that are contradictions to what they were supposed to stand for. Though they support the Ukraine war, not one member of the Black Caucus has given even moral support for West African nations such as Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. These are African people in a struggle to rid their nations of absolute political and economic dominance by the white supremacist nation of France, just as was the case when there was the abolitionist movement, and we were trying to liberate ourselves from plantation slavery. We haven't heard a peep, not even a peep, from them concerning the ex-French plantation of Haiti on the eve of a Western invasion of that nation by proxy. The Black Caucus has been initiated into empire. Let's face it. They are the shadow of empire. They are up to their necks in blood. They are completely detached from the moral courage of Dr. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. They are selfish and they are vain. And they cannot love African Americans. I am Dr. Stephen Nur Ahmed. Peace be unto you.